The Rainmaker was released in 1997. This is directed and written by Francis Ford Coppola, and we have a cast including Matt Damon and Danny DeVito. And I wanted to watch this for Danny DeVito, but I probably would have watched it at some point anyway, because it really, really appealed to me as a concept. And generally, I'm pleased to say that I enjoyed it. It's a little longer than it needed to be. It's over 2 hours, and I think we easily could have removed half an hour from here and there without really losing much of the narrative. So the pacing's a little slow in places, but in general, it's a decent experience. This focuses on a law school graduate called Rudy, and he takes on this case where this health insurance company denied the claim for an individual with terminal leukemia. And needless to say, that's an incredibly important topic. And there are so many heartbreaking cases of insurance companies denying claims and people suffer significantly as a result. So anything that draws attention to that, I think, is doing a fantastic job. I think it tackles a lot of really heavy, important topics in a way that feels very well written, but easy enough to understand. It is quite complex at times, but it feels very believable. It feels very realistic, unfortunately very realistic. And I really bought into the narrative. Needless to say, with a topic like this, it's quite heavy. It's quite emotional. And that's definitely the driving force behind the narrative. The desire for a fairer outcome definitely pushes the narrative forward, but whether or not that is actually what will be delivered, I'm not going to say. But obviously we have some really interesting, very legal heavy scenes that are, again, quite heavy, quite intense, but easy enough to understand that the narrative is still pretty straightforward to follow for the most part. It is simply quite slow in places. That's probably the biggest issue. It did take quite a long time for anything interesting to happen, but I'd say once it got going, it was certainly a really fascinating and really important story. The characters are well written and the performances are really great. Visually, it's a really satisfying film. The camera work's great, the lighting's great, the costumes look great. There isn't anything about this, the length and occasionally slow pacing aside, that didn't work very well. It definitely is quite a heavy film. It is not an easy, light-hearted watch, partly because it is quite emotional and partly because it is quite an intense legal drama. But if that's the film you're in the mood for, then I'd say it's definitely worth watching. I haven't read the novel. It's based on John Grisham's novel of the same name, and I've never read it. I might. I don't know. I'm not jumping into it. Maybe one day I'll read it, but if you have any thoughts on how it compares, please feel free to share. And for now, I'm pleased to say that The Rainmaker was an enjoyable experience insofar as it was generally a well-written narrative, definitely thought-provoking, not the lightest, not the easiest to watch, but for all of the right reasons. I think it's generally a very well-crafted story with some really important points, really important messages, well-written characters, great performances, visually not too bad either. All things considered, The Rainmaker is a solid film. And if you like legal dramas, and you're in the mood for something that's quite heavy, or you don't mind watching something that's a little heavier, then needless to say, I'm very happy to recommend it.